Imagine the psychology. Think about what it takes for you to do this, right? You vote for that guy. You vote for Hakeem Jeffries to be speaker. And I'm talking about all the progressives. Bernie didn't vote for him because he's in the Senate, but he definitely had his blessing, right? You see this guy get called out by an anti-war protester the way he did. You see the grassroots left hate Hakeem Jeffries the way they do, but you don't give a you still all in. You don't feel any sort of shame seeing that guy get called out for war. You see this video, which I know they see it. I know they see these damn videos.
It has to do with them latching on to progressives in the squad. And let me explain. I'm gonna bring it to everybody. So if you go, hey, I'm latching on to these people. If you built your platform, for example, through the Bernie industrial complex, this is your livelihood. These are the people. This is what you're going to keep until the end. Yep. So latching on to those people, but those people, the AOCs, they're now careerists. They're not active. So now they're latching on to the Democratic Party. So you see what I'm saying? It's just people are latching on to the other people, and the Democratic Party is moving to the right.
Yes.
So as the Democratic Party move right, they have to move right, man. And that's that's what's happening. Go ahead.
Sorry, my bad. But it's so pathetic because you have people who still believe in the DSA strategy. They still believe that they have to run within the Democratic Party, support the Democratic Party, and everyone else, according to Crystal Ball, is unserious. They grow up, children, if you don't believe in taking over the Democratic Party and primarying Joe Biden. Meanwhile, Bernie Sanders like, I don't give a I'm with Joe Biden. Pramila Jayapal sent a tweet that Biden 2024. As it's literally not like there's political stories about this. They're writing about Marianne Williamson potentially running. Bernie Sanders and the establishment left are straight up ignoring it.
And welcome to a special Sunday edition of Straight Out of Politics. I'm your host for today. I am CJ, Compton J, or just J. Love that video that Turncoat Don takes content and inserts it into like where it looks like it's actual a newscast. And what I'm thinking is there'll be people more likely to watch it if they see, hey, that looks like a CNN clip. So it's a great idea. I'm sure that's the reason why Turncoat Don is doing it, and he's doing it with a lot of different videos. So if you came over from the JB show, welcome. I wanted to squeeze this in, get at least an hour through, or at least 45 minutes in before Sabby starts, so that when she's starting, I'm sort of on the end stretch. So that's the reason why I wanted to squeeze in real tight and pushed it back a little bit because JB went a little long. Hope everyone is here now. Yes, waiting for a fire-breathing CJ. I'm not sure we have topics that are fire-breathing. Anytime we're talking about the ruling class, I guess that is the case. Yes, CJ and Nick, Turncoat Don, and yes, that is cool. Absolutely. So everyone's here. I'll toss up a couple more. See this reaction, Drav? This is a reaction. Were they on CNN? But I guess that's the feel. So if it's, imagine you're on Twitter or Instagram and you normally see political stuff from some people and you don't look at it. But if you're scrolling, you see CNN, Wolf Blitzer, you go, oh, let me see what this is. And then you're hearing a message that's not on corporate media. It's a great idea. I'm not sure if it's a strategy, but idea. So let's go to topics. So I don't have, let me make sure, hang on a second here. So yeah, we have a lot of topics. Like a lot of topics. So let's see. Okay, so Aaron did update the graphic. Awesome, Aaron. Aaron hooked it up. So let me show it here. So give me 30 seconds to download it real quick here. This is a good one. Well, as far as the topics, the number of people that we're going to be talking about today. So let me now. She's uploaded the thumbnail, but let me show you so we can go over what our topics are today. And this is hot off the press. She just finished this graphic. She's very quick with her. So let's go over topics here. This is just a great graphic. RBN Live Sundays. And let's talk about the graphic and the people that are on it. So I guess let's go left to right. Tucker Carlson. So Jimmy Dore kills it on Tucker Carlson. So that's Tucker and Jimmy from left to right. And then we have Woody Harrelson on SNL, and his monologue, I guess, turned some eyebrows about what he said about the greedy pharmaceutical companies. And then keep moving to the right. There is Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi was heckled. It looked like she was at a restaurant over Ukraine. And then he threw in another joke I thought was very funny at the end. We'll cover that. Then we have Hilary Clinton begs Putin's aides to stop him, to stop his whatever she believes he's doing. We'll cover a video of that. I think that's also a case study TV video. And then not pictured on the graphic, meet the press, and kind of going over a 1-year anniversary of Ukraine. And then they also talk about the Ohio derailment. So we maybe, just kind of as a meet the press propaganda segment. And then we have possibly, if we can get to the pandemic lab leak, or it could possibly there's a story that's out, and it's in the corporate media, that's the likelihood that it's a lab leak. I'll just say that without saying the other word. And then Mayor Pete's press secretary is caught on video not wanting to be on video. So I think Humanist report pushes Marianne Williamson. So there's another one. I think that's on Unbossed. I think it's on Unbossed that we're going to be covering that. So lots to cover today. Great graphic again from Aaron. Man, we do have a lot to cover. Listen, we got 200 people. Can we get 200 likes? We can get all 200 people to hit that like button to start us out with. That's a good round number to start us out with. And we were something like at 70 or 80 last time I checked. So that's only about another 120 people. So about 120 or so people, 25 people or so. Hit that like button. Let's get to 200 likes. I got to try to determine which one I want to go with first. And I think let's go with the Woody Harrelson SNL video. We'll get some of the quicker ones out of the way first. But first, more announcements. Make sure you follow us or subscribe to our Substack. Substack is where you get notifications when we go live, when we drop clips, and when we drop new op-eds, which we're going to, the target is by the end of the year, we'll get to writing those op-eds. So join our Substack for all of those reasons, plus an added bonus of getting Discord link or getting access to our Discord. And remember, we're liking the video to 200. The other thing, we're close to 31,400. I don't have the exact number, so we'll just leave it where it says 31,300. Thank you for those that got us here. We recently, about 3 or 4 days ago, YouTube gave us the ability to have memberships. So if you are interested and can't afford $4, because that's basically $4 a month, we do offer memberships now. And when you click on those memberships, it'll tell you the sort of perks you get. Here's our website, revolutionaryblackoutnetwork.com. And here is our email, info@revblacknetwork.com. And I think that's all of my announcements. Yeah, that's all of my announcements. All right, so let's get into some of the shorter stories to kind of get us warmed up, get the juices going today. And Ryan posted so we're gonna watch sort of the shorter clip, and then we'll watch a little more of the longer clip. And we'll start with, like I said, this Woody Harrelson story. If you haven't heard, he was on. Actually, let me put his banner up before. All right, so we'll start with this story. Actually, let me go to comments. Actually, forgot about that, or almost forgot about it. So let's go to some more comments and take it from there. Perfect. Love it when the community helps out with tracking. No, that was a video edited together to look like we appeared on CNN. So no. Had to refresh page to get an updated watching now. Perfect. Internet drags sometimes. I know it does for me. Dank. What's up? Another CJ weekend. That's true. I was here yesterday, but last week I wasn't here Saturday or Sunday. So you never know, which is why it's always good to get on our Substack. CJ Sunday News. I think this does feel more of like a newsy kind of thing, because I'm just kind of hitting different stories and then moving on, not really going too in depth, because these stories are not really too in depth. But press the only 15 so far. Press the like only 15 so far. That was at 12:26, or that's my time. 3:26 your time. Press the meet. If that's what you call the button, hey, do you. Dore always kills it with the motto mouth. Tucker just sits and listens, and dumbfounded. He does. That look on his face, I don't know if he practices that or if that's just a genuine look. Either way, it's pretty bad. CJNN. I mean, wouldn't that be CJCN? RBN all day Sunday. Yes, you had JB, you got CJ, and you got Savvy to end this off. So, all right, so let's get into these stories. This first one, this Woody Harrelson, is on SNL, and let's listen to what he decides to talk about here. And yeah, I won't read the quote. I'll just let it play for itself here. But some of you with great vision can see the quote there. All right, so here it goes. Woody Harrelson on SNL.
Okay, so the movie goes like this. The biggest drug cartels in the world get together and buy up all the media and all the politicians and force all the people in the world to stay locked in their homes. And people can only come out if they take the cartel's drugs and keep taking them over and over. I threw the script away. I mean, who is going to believe that crazy idea? Okay, so the movie goes like this. The biggest drug cartel.
I know it replays, but we're going to just listen to it again, just for those that didn't catch it. It's short.
In the world get together and buy up all the media and all the politicians and force all the people in the world to stay locked in their homes. And people can only come out if they take the cartel's drugs and keep taking them over and over. I threw the script away. I mean, who is going to believe that crazy idea? Okay,
so obviously he is making reference to pharmaceutical companies, and he's getting not necessarily a backlash, but he's just getting people talking. I mean, you see Ryan Grimm. I'm sorry, I said Ryan Grimm. Ryan Knight, which is a friend of the show, Ryan Grimm, which is not, tweeted out this also, and we can just read a couple of replies. Let's go to quote tweets and see what people are saying here. I think it is kind of a mixed bag, but first person says exactly. T.Y. Woody, truth spoken to those SOBs. So I'm curious, have any of you seen, somebody says Woody's last appearance. Where did that go? It updated real quick. So Kathy says Woody's last appearance. So do you think, like, is it real bad what he said? Is it really that bad? Like, if people weren't tweeting about this, because I watched it not live, but I watched it last night. What does it record? My TV, I have it records it or something like that, where I'm able to go back even after it's played. Anyway, so I watched it late last night, and I didn't think anything of it. I thought it was a joke. Then I wake up to people kind of all talking about it on both sides. So laugh out loud. Lockdowns were largely ignored out here, and I can't remember the last time someone asked to see my vax card in LA. I'm not sure why he's choosing to chime in that way when he's talking about okay. But yeah, I guess that's on point. I'm looking at it a different way. Let's read the next one. It just says, no doubt this was the globalists waging war on humanity, not just the rich getting richer. So this is obviously a sort of great reset theorist sort of person. And I'm sure we have some here. I'm sure there's always some in our audience. Let me just look at some of the current. Just white noise. Woody is king. Woody has got away with lots over the years. He has snuck in other little comments like this before, because I never knew if he did. Liberals will lose their mind. They are losing their mind. I hear some CJ Scrubs. Woody didn't kill himself. I gotta say, when I was watching the clip, I thought he looked a little he looked a little intoxicated to me. Let's continue to read a couple of more comments, and then we'll move on to the next short rapid fire stories. This one says the Elizabeth Warren stand to online communists to. So the Elizabeth Warren stand, and then I guess this person said he was first Elizabeth Warren stand, then he went to online communists, and now he's a vaccine skeptic pipeline. So I guess, though Woody is wrong about being locked in, he is right about the buying of politicians. The Twitter left have a brain disease. Not sure what he means by that. Let's go to some other comments. So this is Ryan's thread. I do have a couple of others. I don't know who this person is. I think this is a conservative. This conservative here. Co-owner of Trending Politics. 263,000 followers, Colin Rugg. I believe that's how you say his name. So let's look at his thread because, threads depend on the person. Maybe he does. Maybe he does always seem inebriated. But see, I remember Woody from White Man Can't Jump days. So that's pre inebriated Woody. That was pre. So never really paid attention to him much after that, and here and there, I guess. Yeah. So and of course, because he's talking about COVID, I'm sure this is a reason why this particular thing that he's saying is getting the reaction he's getting, because he's talking about COVID. Because I'm sure he's made some other comment, and some other people in the comments have alluded to. He said stuff like this before, but let's this edit has headlines in it, and that's why I want to play this edit. So let's watch this edit, and then we'll look at some of the comments. It has headlines in this edit of the Woody short clip.
Okay, so the movie goes like this. The biggest drug cartels in the world get together and buy up all the media and all the politicians and force all the people in the world to stay locked in their homes. And people can only come out if they take the cartel's drugs and keep taking them over and over. I threw the script away. I mean, who is going to believe that crazy idea? Okay.
All right, so let's fast forward to the news articles here. Let's read some of them here. So let's go back to this one. So this first one says, Woody Harrelson's Saturday Night Live monologue makes COVID conspiracy jokes. And what's highlighted is COVID conspiracy. This is for the listening audience. I know everybody else can see this. And then let's go to the next one here. Do they put it up anytime soon? This one, Huffington Post. So I'm sorry. So those listening, that first headline I read was from Variety. This next one is from HuffPost. Woody Harrelson rambles about weed, anti-vax conspiracy in SNL monologue. Now, I can just do a quick little propaganda report, class right here. So Woody Harrelson rambles on weed. So they included weed into this headline along with this other stuff to make it seem like he's crazy, even more crazy. So if the anti-vax conspiracy didn't get you, then the weed part is going to get you. So that's what that's about. So let's continue. Let's see if there's another headline. This one from the Daily Beast. This one says, Woody Harrelson's spews, and spews you can't spew anything good. The word spew is only tied to stuff bad. You can't spew anything good. I don't need to give an analogy. Woody Harrelson spews anti-vax conspiracy in rambling SNL monologue. Now, rambling is also a term meant to give off the appearance or mood of crazy. This one from the Rolling Stone, and this is where I found out about this story first. I think it was Rolling Stone on Twitter. Woody Harrelson spreads anti-vax conspiracy during monologue. So that is in a nutshell, what happened and what's happening, because this is still live right now. Like, this is still a live thing. That tweet that Ryan put out, that's from earlier today. This tweet is from earlier today. So these are all still brand new topics, or this particular one is a brand new topic. Oh, what I was going to do is show, read some of the quotes here, quote tweets here. And I always start at the top. So let's give some of the people at the bottom a chance. So is it going to update here? Let's do one more update and then we'll read from here. Okay, so this one says, based This one says, Woody is right, American flag. Awesome, Woody, cheers. This is beautiful in so many ways. Your pretend smart friend is very upset. Again, thank you, Woody, for saying it out loud and live on TV. Go, Woody. At least all actors aren't paid shills. You sad fool. Crickets from the audience. Not reading, don't need to read out. Bring it out, Woody. So it looks like, so you can tell the different quote tweets that previous person, Ryan, you saw those quote tweets and you see these quote tweets. So this is obviously these are conservatives on this one here. All right, so I think we're gonna close it there with a couple of comments to end this segment. I'm not holding my breath on Jimmy Dore hosting SNL. I know I kind of adjusted that. I read it and then went off memory as I'm reading the other ones. In mainstream media, corporate-owned media is what we're going to call it. Corporate-owned media is trying to paint Harrelson as a nut job. The fix is in, ladies and gents, and that is correct. That's what I was trying to point out with some of the phrasing and words that we're using. The narrative managers are doing overtime PR, right? It blows my mind how the elite do not understand how bad it looks whenever there is a lockstep. This is bad reaction to someone's take, like, hello, Streisand effects. What's up, Brad? And I know, Brad, I see your tweets on Twitter. Rambling. Haven't they heard Biden? Factual things there. All right, so let's now go to the next story, and I think I want to do the Jimmy story. So Jimmy goes on Tucker. Let's do that story. Jimmy goes Dore on Tucker. Now Jimmy goes on Tucker Carlson. Of course, anytime he goes on there, there's people talking. But every time he goes on there, he's dropping science and knowledge. So let's go to, I think it's the next. Wait till we get to that Hilary video. Wait, here he goes right here. So here is Jimmy. And he goes on Tucker. And anytime, of course, he goes on Tucker, there's people who like him and people who don't like him. Mostly people who don't like him. Hey, what are you doing on Tucker again? Now, I do view Tucker maybe differently than Jimmy, because I do think Tucker is a racist. But I don't understand, like, there's many races. Like, do you understand? Like, that's from the point of view of a black person, you got to understand saying he's a racist and then that's it. What does that mean? That, like, there's everything is racist. There's a lot more racist people that we have to interact with all the time. And I do see an advantage in him. And this is why Jimmy has a crossover audience. This is why he has conservatives and liberals and conservatives and the left who listen to him. It's like evenly, because he goes on these channels and he's able to speak and understands that everybody who's listening to Tucker Carlson aren't diehards. Everybody who's watching him aren't the ones that are saying, oh, anything he says. People watch these shows who are just regular people, just watch who also watch MSNBC and CNN. And we have overlapping beliefs, one of which is all this war shit we need to get rid of. So love it when Jimmy goes on Tucker, and let's play his video. And I need to make sure I keep my eyes on the comments. But so Jimmy goes on Tucker, and let's play it. Where is my controls? Right here.
A tiny cabal of people have control of our government, and they're using it to do war for economic profit. You know what? The difference between our mafia state now, back then, the mafia helped defeat the Nazis back then. Now we're actually arming Nazis. You know, and isn't it just like America to ignore the Nazis that are suffering here at home trying to buy eggs while we fund Nazis in other countries? It's unbelievable what's happening. This is really about World War III. And why aren't they investigating it? No, they won't even ask them a question. You know, Cy Hirsch's article came out detailing how they all blew up the Nord Stream pipeline, and the American press won't even ask the people he named in that article a question about it. They won't ask Victoria Nuland. They won't ask Jess Sullivan. They won't ask Anthony Blinken. In fact, those people won't even give a statement about it. You know who will talk about it? Kirby, the press secretary at the White House, because I'm sure the people who did the investigations have a pipeline right to Kirby, but not to Anthony Blinken, not to Sullivan, not Victoria Nuland. By the way, these are the same people who lied us into the Iraq war, lied to us about Libya, lied to us about Syria, dropped so many bombs in Syria they ran out of bombs. They're doing the same thing. America is the world's terrorist. We have 400 military bases surrounding China. We provoked this, but people don't know that the CIA got in bed with the right-wing Nazis in Ukraine to overthrow the democratically.
I know you're thinking like, this is not an edit. Jimmy can go on just like that. I've seen it when he came on here on the Nick, because he's been on here many times, so I got to reference the specific one. When he was on here with Nick and I, asked one question, he just bam, 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 bam. You watched the Tim Pool interview, which we covered here. Ask him one thing, and he's just able to keep going. But this, when he goes on Tucker, it seems like he turns that shit up a notch. To me, it seems like he turns it up a notch. So let's listen. Where is it at? Let's listen some more. Make sure you hit that like button. Let's get us to 350. Hit that like button. Let's finish out listening to Jimmy.
Elected government of Ukraine in 2014. We had a peace deal. It was called the Minsk Accord, and then they violated. Who violated it? Ukraine kept shelling the Donbass, which are the Russian speakers in the eastern part of the Ukraine, and that's why Putin had to be provoked to invade to protect those people. Nobody will tell you that. Everybody who talks about every other news station, by the way, you're
the fact that he's getting stuff like that in. The Victoria Nuland and being responsible for the 2014, or did you say 15 coup, whichever the year, I think it's 2014. Where are you hearing this on any other network? Now, that's not to say they are having some sort of moral stance or anything. They are just part of the capitalist groups who are warmongers who think this war is bad. So that's why they're fine with bringing on these people to say these things, and fine with Tucker having this line, this lane about Ukraine. It's a shame that he has to go on these channels to be able to say this message, though. But it's a shame. But do you see how it's backfiring to shut leftists out? Because now he goes on a conservative channel, but this is the channel that has the top show. He could have went on CNN and had a show that doesn't have as many people watching it. He could have went on MSNBC and went on Nicole Wallace and been on a show that doesn't have as many people watching it. But because those people are shutting him out, look what happens. Lane wide and clear open on Tucker Carlson, the top show on cable news.
You're the only one doing this, and I applaud you for letting people come out and tell the truth about what's actually happening in Ukraine. Other stations, when I watch, what they do is they start the history of Ukraine from Putin's invasion. They never tell you that we overthrew their democratically elected government in 2014. They never tell you that they didn't stop shelling the people in the Donbass. They never abided by the Minsk Accord. They don't tell you that the former German prime minister said that the reason why they did the Minsk Accords in the first place was so that Ukraine could build up their military to get ready for this war that they're provoking.
We're going to play it again and break it down. I tried to let it play. I did let it play for long periods without talking, but let's just go through each point that Jimmy
A
makes.
tiny cabal of people have control of our government, and they're using it to do war for economic profit.
A tiny small group of people have the power to take us to war. Now, you see how that message resonates on conservative network? You know what else is resonating? The Ohio train derailment. So you can see how this would play. The same audience who sees the neglect that's happening in Ohio is seeing billions of dollars. So whether you're left or right or extreme right, this message is a message that can land of what the fuck are we doing over here? So great to see Jimmy on here again doing this. So let's continue. Let's see what else other points that he makes here.
You know what the difference between our mafia state now back then, the mafia helped defeat the Nazis back then. Now we're actually arming Nazis. You know, and isn't it just
we're arming Nazis? I think that point has been brought out online. I'm sorry, on corporate media. So, but it is a good point. But I think that's already been.
It's like America to ignore the Nazis that are suffering here at home trying to buy eggs while we fund Nazis in other countries. It's unbelievable what's happening. This is really about World War III. And why aren't they investigating it? No, they won't even ask them a question. You know, Cy Hirsch's article came out.
I didn't like. He gets so much in here, so he squeezes in the article about Nord Stream pipeline being blown up. And it's being us who did it in the Joe Biden administration who orchestrated it.
Came out detailing how they all blew up the Nord Stream pipeline, and the American press.
So how many people are watching Tucker Carlson? I don't know if Tucker covered it or not. So let's say assume. Let's say even if he did, let's just say for the sake of this conversation, he doesn't show him, or he hasn't talked about it on his channel, on his show. How is this bad that he's explaining this? What audience is hearing this that would not hear it if not for Jimmy Dore showing up to Tucker Carlson? So another great point.
Press won't even ask the people he named in that article a question about it. They won't ask Victoria Nuland. They won't ask Jess Sullivan. They won't ask Anthony Blinken. In fact, those people won't even give a statement about it. You know who will?
Right. Like, they're not even asking the questions in the briefing rooms about this. They're treating it as if this is Looney Tunes. The same thing they did with the Hunter Biden story. This is literally the same thing they're doing with the Hunter Biden story. Oh, we're just not going to cover it.
We'll talk about it. Kirby, the press secretary at the White House, because I'm sure the people who did the investigations have a pipeline right to Kirby, but not to Anthony Blinken, not to Sullivan, not Victoria Nuland. By the way, these are the same people who lied us into the Iraq war, lied to us about Libya, lied to us about Syria, dropped so many bombs in Syria they ran out of bombs. They're doing the same thing. America is the world's terrorist. We have 400 military bases surrounding China. We provoke.
America is the world's terrorist. These are points that, again, you might be like, hey, yeah, Jimmy, I'm out with Jimmy on so-and-so and so, but this shit right here, he's on point. And I think that's why people listen to Jimmy who are conservatives, who may not agree with him on everything. And a lot of people say that about us too. They'll go, oh, I don't agree with you guys on everything, but I listen to you guys because, you know, genuine or, you know, whatever the case. It's different description every time, but whatever the case may be. So great points. Another one. So many topics he hits on in this just short, what is this, 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
This, but people don't know that the CIA got in bed with the right-wing Nazis in Ukraine to overthrow the democratically elected government of Ukraine in 2014. We had a peace deal. It was called the Minsk Accord, and then they violated. Who violated it? Ukraine kept shelling the Donbass, which are the Russian speakers in the eastern part.
he had to have practiced this. Jimmy's good. And being a comedian for several years, you how to be able to remember their jokes in order and all that stuff. So I'm sure he's able to do it because he is just nonstop hitting point after point after point, and within the points, giving detail about the story. In this particular part about the Ukraine, when the war really started, there's a lot of people who still don't know this story. They just think Russia showed up one day. They have no idea about the backstory and how he's able to, just in a matter of 4 sentences, tell the entire story. I'm saying specifically that part. I know is more than 4 sentences, the entire video. I'm saying when he gets to the coup, the CIA coup. And I think this is here. Let's read. Listen.
And then they violated. Who violated it? Ukraine kept shelling the Donbass, which are the Russian speakers in the eastern part of the Ukraine. And that's why Putin had to be provoked to invade to protect those people. Nobody will tell you that. Everybody who talks about every other news station, by the way, you're the only one doing this. And I applaud you for letting people come out and tell the truth about what's actually happening in Ukraine. Other stations, when I watch, what they do is they start the history of Ukraine from Putin's invasion. They never.
This is such a great point that starting the invasion from Ukraine, starting the invasion from Russia, it's starting it now in 2022 or whenever it was.
They never tell you that we overthrew their democratically elected government in 2014. They never tell you that they didn't stop shelling the people in the Donbass. They never abided by the Minsk Accord. They don't tell you that the former German prime minister said that the reason why they did the Minsk Accords in the first place was so that Ukraine could build up their military to get ready for this war that they're provoking.
Just fire after fire with Jimmy. I'm actually going to put up the other one I have of Jimmy. So let's go Jimmy. Up So let's compare, not really like compare like what's best, but let's just contrast this one versus the previous. Oh wow, that's me right there. That's on live right now. Versus the one he did before, which is it this one? Yeah, it could be this one. And then Turncoat Don, I believe, has an edit also. Not of this one, but of is the old one? Oh, it's in a different language. Look at that. So this is actually pretty telling. So let's
decent.
I don't think Jimmy was on that one. Yeah, Jimmy wasn't on that one. So wow. Lots of good videos. Oh man, I'm starting to I was my bad everybody. I was falling into as if I was just surfing by myself. All right, so let's go to Jimmy and go to the video. I think he posted it. This is what Jimmy said about the Harrelson story. This is what he said about the Harrelson story, just as a side note. And we covered this story just previously. How long before Rolling Stone runs headline, quote, Woody Harrelson is a racist, end quote. This is how bought media smears someone because they told truth about their biggest advertisers. You've been lied to about COVID on a level your brain can't comprehend. So that is Jimmy Dore's tweet on there. Let's go down to. I don't think Jimmy. Oh wow, I remember that one. Oh wow. Wow, I'm gonna end up doing a story on that. Anyway, I can go back to my bookmarks and get the video. I didn't want to have to scroll down so far, but it looks like that's what I'm doing anyway. This one, oh shit, this is it right here. I didn't have to scroll down that much. So my bad. This is it right here. And let's play it.
A Black Lives Matter person with him. He had a gay person with him. And then it was him. And he's a libertarian. And he said, we seek common ground. We're not your enemy, our enemy. And I was like, let's bring this guy on. I found out he was pro-gay. They provided security for the Black Lives Matter protests. So they're pro Black Lives Matter, pro LGBTQ. They're anti-war, anti-cop. What else do you guys? That's 4 or 5 out of the top 10 issues I have. We can agree on. We could work on. They demonize me. Like, you can't do that. That guy's this. He's that. And I'm like, so I literally had a guy come on after I interviewed him from the World Socialist website, and he's supposed to be a union organizer.
Yes.
His name is Jerry something. And I can't remember his last name, and you never heard of it anyway, because this guy's never accomplished a goddamn thing in his life. And he came on and he started to rip me for interviewing that guy. And I go, Jerry, what's your message to that guy? This guy's being affected by the economic crushing from COVID, just like everybody else. What's your message? Don't you have a message to recruit him? Because if you don't have a message, the Nazis are going to have a message. We got to have a message. And he goes, I don't have a message for that guy. And I'm like, well, that's why nobody ever heard of you. And that's why you've never accomplished anything in your life, because that's not how you organize. You know how you organize? Just like Christian Smalls did at the Amazon warehouse on Staten Island. Now, if you don't know Staten Island, it's all full of Trump voters. And he's a black guy who organized a union of Trump voters on Staten Island. And how do you do that? Well, I'll tell you how you don't do it. You don't go to the union floor and go, who here's a Proud Boy? You're out. Who doesn't like Social Security? You're out. Who's against LGBTQ? You're out. Who's a libertarian gun nut? You're out. Okay, who's left? Now let's organize. That's not how you do it. Everybody knows that's not how you organize. The way when people on the left say we're going to organize along class lines, they don't even realize what they're saying, because what that means is organizing with Trumpers. They say, we'll never do that. Well, that's what organizing along class lines means, moron. And that's why you haven't accomplished anything in your life except divide the country. Your neighbor's not your enemy. The military industrial complex is your enemy. Wall Street is your enemy. Big pharma, big insurance, that is your enemy, not your neighbor.
So much fire in that clip. I think we could... I thought I had another clip, but I don't want to spend time looking for it. Let me just make sure. Yeah, I don't want to spend time looking for it. All right, so yeah, let's move to the next story and get out of here. Try to get out of here in the next 30 minutes or so. Let's do another short video. Let's do the Nancy Pelosi gets heckled. This is a very, very short story. So Nancy Pelosi heckled over Ukraine. So let's do that story next. We got 585 people here. Hit that like button. Let's try to get to 500, and let's just go to 500. Let's get to 500 likes. If you please hit that like button to get us to 500 likes. That's great. Also, make sure you join our Substack. Get notifications when we go live. This one and the one I did yesterday is kind of unscheduled. I've been doing weekend ones in a couple of weeks. So if you're on our Substack, you get notifications when we go live. So make sure you join that. You also get the link to our Discord if you join our Substack. And also reminder, we have memberships. Make sure you get one if you're able to afford one. And then the other thing I didn't mention earlier, we're always fundraising, or not always, but we're fundraising for our RBN labor and bills in order to pay our fantastic editor and other employees soon to be hired. Here's our Venmo and our Cash App if you're able to donate. For those listening, Venmo, Revolutionary Blackout, and Cash App is Mutual Aid Forever. Here's another graphic that she did, the one for today. So thank you for those that have hit that like button, getting us to 500 likes. And let's look and see what some of you are saying. I can see Child of God is here. John is here. Indie News is here. Turncoat Don edits into mainstream shows and labels his thumbnails with the words deep fake, but it's just regular old video editing. Yes, sir. Let's keep pressing. Hit that like button. 500 likes. And this next story is a funny story because if anytime Nancy Pelosi is getting heckled, is a good day for America or for all of us, for humanity, I should say. Oh, here, and that was it. Started over when I clicked on it. Here it goes. So we're going to watch, and the headline just simply says, Nancy Pelosi gets heckled in San Francisco over U.S. giving Ukraine billions. So, oops. Let me now share, since I now found the actual item. So now let me share here. This is Nancy. Fancy Nancy. Nancy Pelosi getting heckled. And so I'm going to let it loop twice because it's short. So I'm going to let it loop twice. And let's listen to, where is it? Right here.
Let me just get you to Nancy, can you tell us why we have all the $150 billion going to Ukraine? We have homeless on the streets in your own city.
You notice, just like when they're at a protest, they always have handlers, people around them, to vocally jump in, so that they don't have to say anything, right? So let's finish listening. I'll back it up just 5 seconds.
In your own city. Nancy, can I get some stock trading tips on how to get semiconductors in Taiwan?
She was in the middle of a photo shoot. Did you see that? She was in the middle of a photo shoot. You see the photographer right here. Yeah, she's in the middle of a photo shoot. And he said, this guy is saying this stuff. It has to be coming out in her face. That's not, you know what I mean? And her smile, it has to be making it awkward for this photo shoot. So this is pretty, it's based. I love it. And let's rewind it just a little bit to catch that second part he was just saying.
Can I get some stock trading tips on how to get semiconductors in Taiwan? Nancy, why do we? Is your son involved with Hunter Biden?
I gotta watch that again.
Let me just get you to Nancy, can you tell us why we have all the $150 billion going to Ukraine? We have homeless on the streets in your own city. Nancy, can I get some stock trading tips on how to get semiconductors?
You know how they just keep saying thank you? Because they know this is getting video. So, but thank you is saying get the fuck out of here. Thank you doesn't mean thank you in this context like it normally does. It means shut the fuck up and move on. That's what thank you means in this context. So let's continue to listen.
City. Nancy, can I get some stock trading tips on how to get semiconductors in Taiwan?
Can I get some stock tips on how to get some semiconductors from Taiwan? That's a great joke. Maybe it's just me that finds that I find that hilarious. That's a great joke. I'll play it again.
Stock trading tips on how to get semiconductors in Taiwan. Nancy, why do we? Is your son involved with Hunter Biden?
Now let's get back serious and let it play and hear the first question and we'll talk about it.
Let me just get you to Nancy, can you tell us why we have all the $150 billion going to Ukraine? We have homeless on the streets in your own city. Nancy, can I get some?
She was about. Here's the face of this fucking hooligan right here. The hooligan who protects the ruling class. That's the fuck face. I wish we can identify who this clown is. But that's the fuck face right there. He's here to protect the corrupt clown that's sitting down. And Nancy, it looked like she started mouthing like she was answering the question. And the question being contrasting, why are we sending billions to Ukraine when we have homeless right here in your own city, Nancy? Homeless people in San Francisco. I have no idea. I would assume there's people there. The class traitor defending her, and that's exactly what the clown is. The petty bourgeoisie. He thinks I have a prestigious job. I'm protecting the ruling class. You're a fucking clown. They'll throw you away just like any. Once you're not valuable to them, then they'll throw you away just like every other worker. Nancy would care about poor people if she could still buy and sell them. That's a funny joke. I think that's a joke. They bring in chips here. 82 is beyond normal life expectancy. Wouldn't surprise me if she owns stock in tent and tarp manufacturers. It wouldn't surprise me either.
Stock trading tips on how to get semiconductors in Taiwan.
Yeah, and so that's the. And it looked like she was answering him. They just stood in front of the camera and we couldn't hear her. So watch. She's looking at the photographer. She can hear the guy heckling her. And then she begins to answer.
On the streets in your own city. Nancy, can I get some stock trading?
She said, yeah, I can. And then she begins to talk.
Tips on how to get semiconductors.
She's talking. See?
Nancy, what?
So I wish we could have heard, or at least been set still enough so we can kind of read what she's saying. Man. But this, I love seeing this, and I hope to see more of this, and I'm hoping that videos like from Jose Vega, this one, is inspiring other people to participate. These people should not be able to go anywhere without being heckled, without being protested against. So one more time, and then we're out of here on this topic. On to the next one.
Nancy, can you tell us why we have all the $150 billion going to Ukraine? We have homeless on the streets in your own city. Nancy, can I get some stock trading tips on how to get semiconductors in Taiwan? Nancy, why do we? Is your son involved with Hunter Biden?
And I shall pause it there, and I think I have another. Let me see if I have another receipt for you. Before we close out this, I just thought of something here. Let's see. Okay, glad I did that. So let's bring this into focus, and I think we're on this one here. Just to close out this this segment and who Nancy Pelosi is and why she should be heckled. She's one of the people that should be heckled literally every single day for the rest of her life. She should be heckled. The damage that she has done. But let's just read this headline from Sludge. Pelosi's fortune rose sharply in 2000. Oh, hold on. Just pop up and then I'll bring it down. Close. Pelosi's fortune. I don't think there's an S there. Hang on a second. Keep getting these pop-ups. Yeah. Okay. Pelosi's fortune rose sharply in 2020. Nancy and Paul Pelosi's estimated net worth jumped by 16.2% in 2020 from the prior year, a sharper rise than the couple enjoyed in all but one other year over the past decade. So check this article out. It's older. Sludge, if you read Sludge, they got several articles on her. And I can read a little bit. The net worth of former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, and her husband grew by a estimated 16.7 million in 2020 as millions of Americans struggled to make ends meet during the COVID pandemic. According to Nancy Pelosi's 2020 annual financial disclosure, published this morning by the clerk of the House, the Pelosi's assets and unearned income for the year were worth at least 66.1 million and up to 315 million. That's Nancy Pelosi, and I think we can end it there. Just wanted to give a little piece of an article for this segment before we roll it out. And now let's go to Hillary Clinton begs Putin's aid to stop him. Let's do that story next. So HRC begs Putin's aid to stop him. Okay. Let's move to that next story. We got up to 625 people watching. Let's make sure we got those likes to match. We should be at about 550 likes. Hit that like button. Let's get to 550 likes for us. And if you're just joining us, make sure you get on our Substack. Get on our Substack so that you get notifications when we go live, when we drop clips, and when our upcoming, our future op-eds will be dropping. So make sure. You also get the added perk of getting Discord link. We also have memberships now, $3.99, $4 basically a month. If you can afford that, please join memberships on YouTube, or scrolling at the bottom, we have Patreon for the same amount or less. I think on Patreon, I can do $2 a month is the lowest. So either one, if you're able to contribute, great. Here's our website, revolutionaryblackoutnetwork.com, and our contact email, info@revblacknetwork.com. And now HRC, Hillary Rodham Clinton, begs Putin's aid to stop him. And I'm going to go to your comments before I actually begin the segment on that topic, because I know a lot of you have a lot to say about Nancy Pelosi. So I'm going to toss up some of those comments before we move past. But let's cue up the next story, and that is HRC being a POS as normal. I really don't understand why they dragged this ghoul out. I don't know. I guess there's still people listening to her. I guess there has to be. I mean, I don't understand, because it really. I don't understand why they keep trotting her out here. Like people really want to care about her opinion or that she's even relevant. So that's the next story we will be covering here. Let's throw up your comments. Why isn't she in jail? Because the ruling class doesn't put any of their ruling class in jail. Because if you ask me, all of them could. Let's not bang on Vanguard. I see the Vanguard comment. I'm not gonna put that up. Karl Marx predicted corruption of the elections by the bourgeoisie. Absolutely. I get that all on YouTube. Great. Human resources for tech companies like Japanese semiconductors use psychological profiling to establish on employment class that will ensure the social and political agenda of corrupt politicians. The Neckler. Funny. Any other comments here? Wow, some people haven't seen in a while. All right, so let's get to the topic. Let's get to the video. It's a short video, short segment, and then I think we're going to go to the Unbossed video with Humanist Report, Michael Figueroa, pushing Marianne Williamson. So I think we'll do that story next. But here is the ghoul, Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Ultimately, the people closest to Putin, those who have to deal with him, those who he's keeping at the end of 40-foot tables while he issues bizarre orders, they're the ones who need to act. They need to act for the good of Russia. They need to stop him, whether or not this has turned into some kind of physical or mental problems that he either had or has in some way come down with. We don't know. But his behavior is dangerous, and it's dangerous to the future of Russia. So my hope is that the people who are watching him, those who get close enough to see in person his behavior, which is so erratic, that they can try to prevent him from doing things that will not only be tragic for Ukraine, but tragic for Russia too. This should be stopped for Russia's sake.
All right. I said I was going to let it play all the way through it. Then I'm going to play it again and break down this nonsense. I don't understand, who is she reaching, or what is the attempt of the network? I think it's MSNBC. What is the attempt for? Who are you trying to reach by bringing on MSN, or bringing on who's this? Hillary Clinton.
Ultimately, the people closest to Putin, those who have to deal with him, those who he's keeping at the end of 40-foot tables while he issues
Propaganda.
bizarre orders, they're the ones who need to act. They need to act for.
Couldn't the same speech be given about Joe Biden? Somebody needs to act. This guy is leading us to nuclear, or this guy's leading us to Armageddon. So to me, from my point of view, this same thing that she's saying should be said to Joe Biden, the United States government, the United States military, the CIA.
40-foot tables while he issues bizarre orders. They're the ones who need to act. They need to act for the good of Russia.
They need to act for the good of the planet, actually, in our case. This same speech.
They need to stop him.
They need to stop him.
Whether or not this has turned into some kind of physical or mental problems that.
Whether or not this has turned into some kind of physical or mental, in Joe Biden's case, problem. You see how it fits?
That he either had or has in some way come down with, we don't know. But his behavior is dangerous, and it's dangerous to the future of Russia. So my hope is that the people who are watching him, those who get close enough to see in person his behavior, which is so erratic, that they can try to prevent.
Is she describing Joe Biden being erratic on the stage, wandering off everywhere he goes, having to have a handler hold his arm so that he doesn't wander off?
Prevent him from doing things that will not only be tragic for Ukraine, but tragic for Russia too. This should be stopped for Russia's sake.
I mean, I'm just gazing into her eyes, and this, I don't understand anybody who follows this person who can't see the absolute core of evil as you look at this person. And she has a stake in Putin and Russia still being propped up as these evil, crazy people, because it gives her cover of why she lost to the dumbest person on the planet, namely Donald Trump. So she has a stake in keeping this narrative about Russia and Putin you know, on the level of literally like a horror film from Hollywood. So just sad, but I don't get why they keep bringing her on. All right, so let's now go to. I think I'll just get the link and bring it into the show. We're gonna go to Unbossed, and they had a guest on, namely Mike Figueredo from the Humanist Report, and this was a guest host. So I don't know who this girl's name is. I think they'll say it in just a second. So we have the guest host on Unbossed and Mike Figueredo talking about Marianne Williamson. And I'll give you the title of it in just a second, just in case you want to look it up for yourself, because I'm not sure we're going to watch the whole thing. But I'll give you the title and everything in just a second. Yeah. Okay. All right. So Marianne Williamson announces she's running for president, Unbossed. So this is the video, and Mike Figueredo is on it. So we're going to dive into this video. Let's toss up some comments first, actually. It looks like we have a super chat here. I think some collaboration between y'all and Black Power Media could be fruitful. Thank y'all. Yeah, we have attempted in the past. Scheduling has just been, because we had them on for a summit. Our last summit? What was our last summit? Yeah, Activist Summit. We had them on. And, you know, we talked, hey, yeah, we should get together. Got a DM, and it was just nearly impossible. So just kind of stop trying. But yes, that would be good. All right. There was something else I should see. I saw that super chat. Was there anything else? Okay, here it goes. Super sticker. Thank you so much for your super sticker. Yeah. All right. Now let's get back to the segment, and this is Humanist Report, which is W. So that's what we're going to be talking about for this upcoming segment and watching this video. Humanist Report pushes Marianne Williamson. Yes, okay, I spelled it right. Before we do that, the target is still 550 likes. Make sure, if you're here, if you just stumbled in here, hit that like button. Our target is 550 likes, which should be easy. We got up to 625 people watching at a point. So we're at 537. We only need 13 more to hit that target, and then we'll push to the next target. So 13 more people hit that button, and we shall be there. Here is Unbossed having an interview with Mike Figueredo from the Humanist Report about the announcement that Marianne Williamson will be running for president. So let's listen.
When it comes to our politics, we're not used to having deep, real conversations. I think when it comes to our personal relationships, the American has deep, real conversations as much as anyone else in the world. But we have all been trained when it comes to our collective issues, our political issues, to think like a bunch of seventh graders. We might tell the truth, but not the whole truth, nothing but the truth. We don't get deep, we don't get real, we don't get direct, and we don't get blunt.
There is Marianne Williamson, author and healer. I'm not sure what she formally identifies, but
we don't know what to call her. That's another thing. I saw another report, and they had sort of the same thing: spiritual healer.
She is. She was speaking with the senator on this very show, speaking about the lack of depth, about the clearly the simplicity in our politics, the lack of honestly like a wholeness, right? Like that we don't.
Anyone knows this anchor's name? I don't see it anywhere. So this person, if you ever watch TYT, do you know who this person is? If you do, please put it in the chat.
That we approach politics from in all aspects, and she wants to change that. And I gotta say, she's a captivating speaker. She really is, and she's running for president. That's where I was going with this entire segment. She's running for president. She confirms that in 2024, look out Joe Biden. She's gunning for his seat. So she is a prominent progressive. She ran for president in 2020, confirmed in an interview published Thursday she will run for the Democratic nomination for president in 2024. This is speaking to the Medhill news service run by Northwestern. She said, quote, "I wouldn't be running for president if I didn't believe I could contribute to harnessing the collective sensibility that I feel is our greatest hope at this time." A collective sensibility. I don't
know what the fuck that means either. Nobody knows. She talks in such abstracts. Nobody knows what that means either. Let me see if anybody put down this young lady's name. Oh, here it goes. Francesca. Francesca is her name. So Francesca is filling in for Nina Turner on Boss, and she's going to bring on Mike Figueroa from Humanist Report in just a second. She's setting up the story.
I don't even know what that is. I'm just like, tell us, Marianne, what's our collective sensibility? I feel like we've lost the scent. We're just a bunch of old bloodhounds, chasing after a, roadkill. I don't know what it is. Anyway, if you didn't know who Marianne Williamson was, she gained notoriety during the 2020 presidential race, especially during the first several presidential primary debates, where some of her spiritual remarks won her fans online. However, her campaign lasted only a year. She dropped out in January 2020. If you needed more of that Williamson woo-woo, and I say that in the best way possible, here she is from 2020.
Donald Trump is not going to be beaten just by insider politics talk. He's not going to be beaten just by somebody who has plans. He's going to be beaten by somebody who has an idea what this man has done. This man has reached into the psyche of the American people, and he has harnessed fear for political purposes. So, Mr. President, if you're listening, I want you to hear me, please. You have harnessed fear for political purposes, and only love can cast that out. So sir, I have a feeling you know what you're doing. I'm going to harness love for political purposes.
I've never been so afraid of love in my life. That was very good. Mike, thoughts on Marianne then, Marianne now?
So I get the feeling, even with Mike, I don't get the feeling like, hey, this is their choice. But it's like, well, it's somebody. So I guess it's not a full-throated sort of, and she's even making jokes. So I'm curious that part of the Bernie Sanders industrial complex is way on board with Marianne, specifically because they're her friends, and then the rest of them are just kind of like, okay.
Yeah, so I was actually on a panel with her a couple of years ago, and I'll say the same thing now that I told her. At first, when I heard her speak, I was very turned off because she talked about love and healing, and I thought that's not the mood right now. Like, I'm angry. Like, I want to burn stuff down. Like, I don't want to hear this love talk. But the more that she spoke, the more compelling her message was. The more she spoke about reparations and U.S. imperialism in Latin America and dunking on Dave Rubin.
U.S. imperialism. Get the fuck out of here. So it's funny you say that because I can typically spot comedians also, and somebody said that Francesca is also a comedian, and that's the vibe I got. I was gonna say, the joke she told earlier, you can tell that was written by a comedian, or I could tell that was written by a comedian. The setup of it, and she says Francesca is also a comedian. I noticed TYT goes after not necessarily people, the smartest political person. They go after comedians or something else. They go after. Anyway, let's not get in a tangent. We're analyzing this video, Marianne Williamson, Humanist Report.
Ruben, it's hard not to fall in love with Marianne Williamson.
It's not. It's very easy not to fall in love with her. Believe me, it's very easy.
I want to burn stuff down. Like I don't want to hear this love talk. But the more that she spoke, the more compelling her message was. The more she spoke about reparations and U.S. imperialism in Latin America and dunking on Dave Rubin. It's hard not to fall in love with Marianne Williamson. So I really love that she's challenging Joe Biden. I don't know if he's going to run yet. Nobody really knows. He says he is, but that's not necessarily confirmed. Primarying an incumbent president is very, very difficult. But just coronating him is not an option to me, right? So give him a run for his money, push the conversation left, and
they think this is not coordinate. Just handing it to him. That's what they think. If you think running Marianne Williamson is challenging Joe Biden whatsoever, give me a break.
And elevate the salience of issues that aren't getting discussed currently. Like when Biden was running for president, of course, predictably, he sounded a lot different than he sounds now, although ultimately he said that nothing will fundamentally change. But like, we're not talking about immigration reform as Biden was before he became president. In fact, he's doing very Trumpian policies. Mm-hmm. So I love that she's getting in to influence the discourse and just give them hell, because what she has to
give them hell. These terminologies to me don't fit Marianne Williamson. She doesn't have the capacity, ability, the wherewithal to give anybody hell. She's a pro-war Zionist, NATO left. Okay, let's continue.
Has to say is valuable, and she words it in a way that I think that other political commentators like myself don't think about these things. Like, she gives us like a different lens, if that makes sense, and I really appreciate it.
No, I think that's exactly right. And she named it right there, right? She says that it's beyond politics. It's something spiritual and emotional. Like that hate that Trump has stirred up, that's like some id. That is deep, right? That's like a 3-year-old tantrum id. That's like, why can't I have things, And he's tapped into that with that hatred. And so she's offering, and this is what I like, a vision. And I think that's so important, because say there have been some good things, there have been a lot of bad with Joe Biden, but what he does not have and what he is sorely lacking is a vision. He said,
what's also weird? I just realized this. Majority Report has been really pushing Emma in particular. I've seen several segments now of her saying Joe Biden has really been progressive. Bernie Sanders is right. He has been way more progressive than he was a senator. So it feels like they're trying to push. They're saying it in this way in order not to have a real progressive challenge him. So it is a weird dynamic, because I have seen Majority Report kind of take a slightly different angle.
He says he doesn't want to, he's like wants to transition this country out of the MAGA moment, but I don't think he is the president to meet the MAGA moment, right? Like, he is not taking fascism seriously, even though he was saying that the reason he got into the race in the first place was after the Charlottesville, horrors, let's be real, right? Like death and Nazis, which is a great reason to jump into a race. But then what's your vision? What are you offering people? Because the white nationalists have a vision. We need a vision. And it reminds me, obviously, of another presidential candidate who did not make it, Bernie Sanders. who continually argues for this multiracial, anti-racist democracy that is.
It is something they're going to forever die with Bernie Sanders, clutching Bernie Sanders. They're going to be propping him up, literally the corpse of Bernie Sanders. And Nick talks about this. He calls it the cult of Bernie Sanders. And it's real. It's just like the cult of Donald Trump. Just attributing, exaggerating his contributions, contributing things to him that should not be contributed to him, overlooking all of his flaws, all of his votes, all of his sheep herding. Like, found some kind of way to praise Bernie Sanders in a video about Marianne Williamson.
Candidate who did not make it, Bernie Sanders, who continually argues for this multiracial, anti-racist democracy that is inclusive, that is broad, that is actually compassionate, right? Remember when he was asked by Barbara Walters, what do you want to be remembered for? Bernie stops and he goes, compassion.
Oh my God.
Amazing. I mean, just little spidey, tingly senses.
Yeah, vomity sense. But this is the cult of Bernie Sanders on display. You're seeing it visually in real time. She's getting all tingly inside about this shit. Get the fuck out of here.
Anyway, but Mike is totally 100% right. Marianne Williamson, not just a spiritual leader, she's spoken a lot about US imperialism, about greed, and she does it in this way that speaks to the soul and not just, sort of the brain and the pocketbook. So we will continue to follow that and follow her.
I guess. So
welcome to Democracy Now!
So that that is the Humanist report. So like I said, it feels like they're open to supporting her, but they first need to hear what's happening with Bernie. Because if Joe Biden doesn't, Marianne Williamson needs Joe Biden to run for her to even have 1% relevance. Because if Bernie Sanders run, if Joe Biden doesn't run, and which means Bernie Sanders is going to run, she's going to have 1% of 1% of 1% relevance. Way less than Bernie Sanders, because everybody is going to support Bernie Sanders who's a progressive. So from Nina Turner to AOC to Ilhan to even Ro Khanna is going to pretend, even Pramila Jayapal is going to maybe pretend. All these people are going to pretend like they're down with Bernie. So where's that going to leave Marianne Williamson? So it just feels like everybody's kind of like, she's okay and she's decent. She talks in these broad terms. She never really talks in specific policy detail ever. We are the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. Factual. The type of BS to expect from TYT and Humanist report. It is almost expected, isn't it? Isn't it just about expected that it would be this terrible? So now, or the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to bring up Meet the Press and just kind of cover a couple of things, couple of segments from Meet the Press where just blatant propaganda. So let's bring up Meet the Press, and it's today's episode of Meet the Press. And I think I'm going to have to rewind it a little bit because, let's see. Oh, I'll let that keep opening as I set up. All right, so let's set up for the next segment. And as that's opening, last time we're offering announcements. Subscribe to Substack
that are needed, and I do think
subscribe to Substack. I'm gonna rewind it. Subscribe to Substack to get notifications when we go live and when we have clips and when we having our upcoming op-eds that we're going to be writing. We got memberships. Make sure you get on board with that if you're able to. 30,000 we hit. We're at 30,000 approaching 400, but let's just say 30,300 for now. And we're liking the video. We've already hit our target 550, so let's go to the next target, 600. So let's get to 600, just a couple more to hit 600. So if you're brand new, and we got a lot of new people just joining.
Got it sorted.
Oops. Let me turn the sound off and get through this commercial here. Yeah, let's let that play through this commercial. All right, so this is going to be Meet the Press. And let's pause it there. Let's unmute it. So we're going to just kind of, because I initially was viewing this for just the Ukraine story. But then, I watched a little more of it, and it was other shit. So this is more of just an analysis of Meet the Press's propaganda. Meet the Press. So they're going to touch on a couple of different things. So let's watch, and remember, we're getting to 600 likes is the target. 600 likes is where we're targeting. So hit that like button if you're brand new. And we got a lot of people that are brand new. Hit that like button. Here is Meet the Press with Chuck Todd and a lot of propaganda.
This Sunday, defending democracy. 1 year after Russia invaded Ukraine, President Biden promises to stand strong against the threat from Vladimir Putin.
Ukraine will never be a victory for Russia. Never.
But what does victory look like? And are we giving them enough to win the war or just survive it?
Are we giving them enough to win the war or just survive it? Why does it seem like corporate media is always more hawkish than our government? And our government is very hawkish. But corporate media always seems to be like, wait, are you doing enough? Are you giving them enough? Are you doing this enough? And you see it there even in this opening. Back to Meet the Press.
If you want victory, we have to do more.
Plus rising tensions.
You are approaching Chinese airspace. Keep a safe distance or you'll be intercepted.
As the U.S. continues to warn China about sending weapons to Ukraine, tensions are rising in the South China Sea. Is the Pentagon preparing to move more troops to Taiwan? My guest this morning, the National Security Advisor to President Biden, Jake Sullivan, and Republican Senator Dan Sullivan of Alaska. And off the rails.
I sincerely hope that when all of the politicians get here, including Biden, they get back from touring Ukraine, that he's got some money left over.
Donald Trump travels to the site of the toxic train derailment in Ohio to bash the Biden administration for focusing more overseas, creating the first real split-screen moment of the 2024 campaign.
The first split-screen moment of the 2024 campaign, and Joe Biden will lose. Anybody will lose. If Donald Trump stays with the stance of peace in Ukraine and I can negotiate it right away, he will win in the primary and he will win the national election. He will literally be the only person saying that. Nikki Haley, Mike Pompeo, Pence, they're all going to be pro-war. They might slightly, it's not a blank checkbook. We already reached that point, sir. That might be the only difference you're gonna see in the primary. But if Donald Trump goes if he goes anti-war, peace, he's winning. You see the popularity in the Ukraine war is fading. That's why they're doing all this hand wringing. Oh, we're gonna stay till the end because they're telling us We don't care if popularity is fading. We're telling y'all right now, we're staying to the end. More Meet the Press.
Joining me for insight and analysis are NBC News Chief White House Correspondent Kristen Welker, NPR White House Correspondent Tamara Keith, Republican strategist Al Cardenas, and journalist and author Jonathan Alter. Welcome to Sunday. It's Meet the Press.
From NBC News in Washington, the longest-running show in television history.
As the war in Ukraine enters its second year, the question is, what will victory look like? It's pretty clear no one involved, not the United States or our European allies, Ukraine or Russia, can afford for this war to be in the same place it is today, going into year 3, a year from now. And yet both sides, President Biden in a surprise visit to Kyiv and Vladimir Putin this week in Moscow, prepared the world.
In a surprise visit to Kyiv, we notice when we're talking propaganda, notice when they decide to insert adjectives. That's key, because that's them kind of signaling this is the point, this is the part or point where we're really trying to tell you what to think.
For a drawn-out conflict.
1 year into this war, Putin no longer doubts the strength of our coalition, but he still doubts our conviction. He doubts our staying power, but there should be no doubt. Our support for Ukraine will not waver. NATO will not be divided, and we will not tire.
We decided to conduct a special military operation. Step by step, we will continue to resolve the objectives that are before us. They started the war, and we used the force in order to stop it.
Now, Biden's visit to Ukraine was the first time in modern history that a sitting U.S. president has visited an active war zone without a U.S. military presence. And Biden has hitched his legacy to the success of this war. Can he afford for it to drag on into the year 2024 and the inevitable presidential campaign? The American public is already divided on providing ongoing support to Ukraine, split 49-47 on whether Congress should provide more weapons and funding. Isolationism among Republicans is growing, with the leading presidential hopefuls out there right now trying to show some distance from the Ukraine war. On Friday, despite Ukraine's request and a growing bipartisan chorus in Congress, President Biden made it clear he is ruling out providing F-16s for now. Meanwhile, Russia has sustained nearly 200,000 casualties, 8 times higher than U.S. casualties in the 2 decades of war we waged in Afghanistan. Moscow's winter offensive has so far delivered just minor territorial gains. The only potential beneficiary of a protracted conflict may be China, which offered a peace plan, by the way, that Ukraine did not reject out of hand. The U.S. did, and it is still left.
The U.S. rejected it. The U.S. rejected the latest peace deal. It wasn't Ukraine. Remember how people say, "Oh, we got it." Matt Duss, in particular, and Marianne Williamson said it on this show. No, I'm sorry, on Status Quo. Oh, well, they're a sovereign country. You can't just negotiate, and they're not ready for peace. Really? How are we, when it comes to peace, it's we can't just negotiate peace over their heads. They're a sovereign country, but we can stop peace? So it just goes one way, huh? It's absurd. Oops, sorry.
Still leveling accusations that China is considering providing lethal aid to Russia. U.S. officials tell NBC News that intelligence suggests that aid includes artillery and ammunition. But as U.S. officials sound the alarm, on Friday, President Biden downplayed the threat from China.
I don't anticipate, we haven't seen it yet, but I don't anticipate a major initiative on the part of China providing weaponry to Russia.
And joining me now is the president's national security advisor, Jake Sullivan. Jake, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thanks for having me, Chuck.
I want to start right there. Secretary Blinken last week and you throughout the week have been very serious seriously concerned over what China could be doing. President Biden seemed to downplay that risk there. Is that his gut, or do you have new intelligence suggesting the Chinese are backing off?
Well, we have the same intelligence that we've had that has been behind the comments Secretary Blinken has made and what you just heard from President Biden, which is we have not seen China yet provide military equipment to Russia for purposes of fighting in the war in Ukraine. We haven't seen it yet. We're continuing to watch. We'll stay vigilant, as President Biden said, but so far we haven't seen it.
Do you have a sense of what why they would make a decision to do this? What would be their strategic reason for doing it if they did it?
It's a great question, Chuck, because I don't think it is in China's interest to do this. I think it would alienate them from a number of countries in the world, including our European allies, and it would put them forced.
It would alienate them from their European allies, the same people, UK, Canada, and a couple other people, Scandinavian countries. It would alienate them from the white chauvinist countries. That's it, Jakey boy, that's all?
Or square into the center of responsibility for the kinds of war crimes and bombardments of civilians and atrocities that the Russians are committing in Ukraine. Their weapons would in effect be used for the slaughter of people in Ukraine. So
you mean like our weapons and our money goes to buy the weapons that's used in Yemen, that's used in Israel or Palestine? Somalia? Guy can't be serious.
So I think it would be ill-advised for China to move forward. But of course, that's a decision Beijing is going to have to make for itself.
Other than saying there would be consequences for getting involved, you or anybody else has not laid out any specific consequences. Why not? Why not go public with what could be the consequences, whether it's on sanctions, whether it's more...
This is what I'm saying. You see, why is the media always nudging the government? Why aren't you doing more? Or is this just a dance? The government wants to do more, so they come on their PR arm so that they can be like, we're just doing this, and then the PR arm is saying, do more. So, oh, okay, we need to do more. Okay, I guess we will just follow what they say, right? Do this all the time, specifically around military funding.
It's weapons or troops to Taiwan. Why not lay it out in public?
Well, we believe that this is better done directly with Chinese counterparts in private. And in fact, Secretary Blinken had the opportunity to meet with China's top diplomat at the Munich Security Conference just a few days ago. So we have channels to be able to make sure that China fully understands the U.S. position and what would happen were they to move forward with this step. And we don't see as much profit in microphone diplomacy on this.
I understand that. Do you have the Western allies on board with the immediate response that you want to do with China, or is that going to be a slog?
We've actually had intense and very positive consultations with our
that means
allies.
No, they don't have everybody on board. That's what that means. No, they don't, sir. So we're going to move along in their propaganda spin here. Let's move along to is it the Republican? Yeah, let's move along to the Republican here. All right. Let me rewind a little more.
Monday on NBC. Welcome back. No issue illustrates the shift in the Republican Party better than the war in Ukraine right now, where traditional hawkishness on Russia has been replaced by a deep skepticism of U.S. involvement overseas, particularly when the policy is led by a Democratic president named Joe Biden. In a Washington Post poll this month, 50% of Republicans said the U.S. was doing too much to support Ukraine. That's up from just 18% who said the same thing in April of last year. This GOP.
So what they're trying to do is make this seem like it's just the Republicans who are against freedom in Ukraine. It's just Republicans, and that's what he's trying to paint in this segment here. So I'll go back just a tad here.
Illustrates the shift in the Republican Party, better than the war in Ukraine right now, where traditional hawkishness on Russia has been replaced by a deep skepticism of U.S. involvement overseas, particularly when the policy is led by a Democratic president named Joe Biden. In a Washington Post poll this month, 50% of Republicans said the U.S. was doing too much to support Ukraine. That's up from just 18% who said the same thing in April of last year. This GOP split was on display this week as a handful of congressional Republicans who are supportive of the Biden policy in Ukraine met with Ukrainian President Zelensky in Kyiv. While back here at home, most of the declared and likely presidential hopefuls were striking a more skeptical tone about it.
So, and I think the other three now have to kind of be more skeptical because of the stake that, because of the place that Donald Trump has said. Donald Trump has said, I can negotiate peace overnight. If I was in office, this would never have happened. So they're not going as far, Mike Pence, DeSantis, and Nikki Haley, because they're neocons, all three of them. They're not going that, but they're using language as, I'm being skeptical about it. They're being skeptical about it. But Donald Trump is the one who kind of laid the marker from that point, because I don't think if he was the way he was or his stance, I don't think the rest would have fell in line the way that they did.
About Ukraine, with really one notable exception.
World War III has never been closer than it is right now. We need to clean house of all of the warmongers and America last globalists in the deep state.
Well, they have effectively a blank check policy with no clear strategic objective.
So they're playing these clips together, but you can clearly hear the difference in what Trump said in his clip. Not saying he believes it, what Trump said versus what DeSantis is saying. And this is what I'm saying. He's saying this: we're going we're close to Armageddon. Humans, like the end of the human race. We need to pull this back. And he's more of, this is the blank check. We need to see what's going on. That's all they're saying. So that's the difference. So let's rewind 15 seconds and play again.
World War III has never been closer than it is right now. We need to clean house of all of the warmongers and America last globalists in the deep state.
Well, they have effectively a blank check policy with no clear strategic objective identified. And I don't think it's in our interest to be getting into proxy war with China getting involved over things like the borderlands or over Crimea.
I don't think we need to write them blank checks, but they have the passion to fight for their own freedom. Give them the ammunition to do it.
There can be no room in the leadership of the Republican Party for apologists for Putin.
Needless to say, there's going to be a robust debate on the presidential debate stage there. But joining me now is Republican Senator Dan Sullivan of Alaska. He's a member of the Senate Armed Services Committee. He's also a colonel in the Marine Corps Reserve. Member
great.
Right now of the United States Senate that does currently serve in the military. Senator
he's
Sullivan,
likely probably, you mean CIA? That's what you're saying? CIA GOP. Like the CIA Democrats.
Morning, Chuck. Good to be on the show.
Let me just start with the basics. You heard from the National Security Advisor there. What do you think victory looks like for Ukraine?
Well, I think just to begin with, looking at the past year, we need to recognize how we got here, what mistakes were made, and what we can do going forward. I think one element that the National Security Advisor doesn't talk about, I think it was clearly some of the Biden administration's weakness on issues like energy, national defense, and clearly the botched withdrawal from Afghanistan that emboldened Putin to undertake the brutal invasion of Ukraine. I think, though, that now that we are in this battle, they're strongly in our interest.
We're on opposite sides, but they're still towing the same line about how the war began and how we got here. Red or blue. Same line.
To continue to support the Ukrainians to restore their territorial integrity and their sovereignty without committing U.S. forces. But, Chuck, your interview actually highlighted one of the problems. Jake Sullivan's talking about, well, we're not going to do F-16s today. That's for another time, not right now. That has been a pattern with this administration from the beginning, where they have slow-rolled critical military weapon systems. It's a long list. It's Patriots, it's HIMARS, it's tanks. and now it's F-16s. And to me, that is a real blunder. We need to get them what they need now and listen to the Ukrainians.
Right.
So is he better? Is the Republicans better? They're saying, stop slow rolling this shit. Give him all of it at one time and cut the check off. How are they better? What's better about them? But let's fast forward to one final spot when they get to the panel here. Let's get to the panel. I don't need your introductions. Let's just go right to the conversation.
We will stand with you. Let us move forward with faith and conviction and with an abiding commitment to be allies.
Back it up just a little bit here. Oh, good Lord.
All right. We really had our first split screen moment. And I'm curious, Kristen, I'm going to play it here. Essentially, it was Donald Trump, what I thought was a risky move, holding a campaign event in East Palestine. Here he is.
That's a risky move?
We will stand with you.
What?
Let us move forward with faith and conviction and with an abiding commitment to be allies.
I sincerely hope that when your representatives and all of the politicians get here, including Biden, they get back from touring Ukraine, that he's got some money left over.
The president, in an interview on Friday, was pretty defensive of the response, basically saying, hey, we were there from the beginning. EPA was there from the beginning and all of those things. Behind the scenes, any regret at the optic problems here for them?
They weren't there from the beginning. Joe Biden still hasn't gotten there. So this is what they do. They go, yeah, we didn't do nothing wrong and there's no problem. But what's happening behind the scenes when they know something's wrong here? So let's listen, though.
They're pretty defiant, Chuck, but I have to tell you privately, some allies of the president are concerned that he hasn't been there yet, and they're saying he needs to go. But I've pressed them over and over again. Are there any plans for the president to go? And they say there are no conversations about that. They reiterate what you just said. We were on the ground within 2 hours of this crisis happening. We've gotten all the resources there that are needed. And I do think big picture, there's a question. Optics are important when you're dealing with a crisis like this. There's no doubt about that. We learned that during Hurricane Katrina, for example. The question is, will this backfire on President Biden if he doesn't go? But could it backfire on former President Trump?
Oh, here we go with the spin. Here we go with the spin. Here we go with the PR arm of the Democratic establishment coming in here, inserting something completely not that should not be here, and trying to flip the story. But the story has gone down too far down the path. We've already covered how Joe Biden, Mayor Pete, is getting demolished over this Ohio derailment and their pre-planned little show they put on for the 1-year anniversary in Ukraine. The Palestine derailment, the East Palestine derailment, completely was not part of the plan and messed up their plans. Go back a little bit and listen to what she said again.
And optics are important when you're dealing with a crisis like this. There's no doubt about that. We learned that during Hurricane Katrina, for example. The question is, will this backfire on President Biden if he doesn't go? But could it backfire on former President Trump?
Go.
Because his visit has put in the spotlight the fact that he rolled back 100 environmental...
It hasn't put in the spotlight any of that. You're just bringing it up right now. Because with your logic, how does that bring Trump under the microscope, but it doesn't bring the Democratic establishment, the Joe Biden administration, all of the squad, all of the progressives who voted to break a strike? You see how they're pretending like they're unbiased? This is all to shield for the Democratic establishment.
regulations.
Right.
And so that's become a part of this conversation
No, it
as
hasn't.
well. So I
It
think
has
that there
not.
are risks involved for both of them. And the question becomes, will we see President Biden on the ground in the coming weeks? At this point in time, still no plans for that.
Tamara, I sense that almost they don't want to look like they've been pushed into anything by Fox News and
Oh, because they're tough, right? They're machismo.
Donald Trump.
Macho.
Are they being stubborn about this?
And this White House doesn't like to feel like they're being pushed into things. They have resisted other calls for him. He's got to be there. Though this weekend, they've told us that the CDC, the EPA, and FEMA are going door to door checking on people. You know, the government
their
is
names
here
Joe
to
Biden?
help, kind of a thing. So pushing back on the idea that these people are forgotten. I don't know if everyone is going to want to knock on their door from 3 federal agencies, but that's what they're going to get.
You know, President Biden, though, has a habit of showing up late to just about everything we think significant. In Florida, during the campaign, the Florida Democrats were saying, hey, these guys are here every week. You haven't shown up. They're calling us socialists. You got to come defend us. And he finally showed up like 3 weeks before the election after 1 year of being prompted on the border. He just showed up at the border. Why shouldn't he have been there long before? And now in this incident, he had a good reason not to be there, but he has this reputation preceding him about being places too late.
I just don't think the split screen hurts Biden at all. He's
Oh
on a
my
very
God.
successful trip, and his messages were the arsenal of democracy, the FDR message.
So-
He's backing the modern Winston.
We already know who Jonathan Alter is. Garbage. Okay. This has not been successful at all. It has not been successful. He has been dragged through the mud for being in Ukraine instead of being in East Palestine. And all of the PR arm of the Democratic establishment and media can pretend like they haven't, but that is a fact.
Winston Churchill, Zelensky. What is Trump doing? He's saying to the people of Palestine, have a good time. He's handing out.
So they're trying to act like this is a bad thing. This is a terrible spin, terrible attempt. I mean, but they could have just be looking at it this way, the Democrats. It's Ohio. Right, win in Ohio. There's no chance for us to win Ohio. The fuck I care about going to Ohio. And maybe it's that. And it's more likely it's probably that.
MAGA caps. That's not a very good impression for him.
And I was in Poland with President Biden, and just to add to that point, he was making this broader case. This war is not just about the war in Ukraine. It's about democracy. It's about upholding American ideals. And his surprise.
I can't even listen to that nonsense. So we can end this segment here, and we're ending it on Meet the Press is a show along with these weekend political shows where they have a lot more time to go in depth into some of the most important stories that they need to propagandize people on. And that's what Meet the Press, Face the Nation, and This Week, I think it's called, with George Stephanopoulos or something like that. That's what these shows are for, is to go in depth in sort of the biggest stories that they need to propagandize people on. Usually it's war, and then when it's not big wartime, then it's usually the economy. Something they're always trying to gaslight, lie to people, and propagandize people about. Unfortunately, I mean, it is what it is. All right, so let's end on Twitter with the final story, and it's just a quick little clip. I'm going to see Mayor Pete's communications person not do so well. So let's type in Mayor Pete and see what this is about here. Some of you may have already seen this. So let's go Mayor Pete and press. Let's see. Is this it? Oh yeah, here it goes. I think this is it. So this one by Johnny Azam video, and I'll read the caption here. It's a funny story to end with. Mayor Pete's, I don't know if he said PR. Oh, let's see. This is press secretary. That's what it's called. Press secretary. So this is what we're gonna watch. Mayor Pete's press secretary. We'll abbreviate secretary. There we go. Mayor Pete's press secretary will be the segment. Make sure you hit that like button if you're here. Got a lot of brand new people here. Make sure you hit that like button. Pretty please. I'll toss up a couple of comments. And what I want y'all to start doing is putting in, where are you from? What country are you from? What time zone, if you want to put your country? Put the time zone you're in. Put the state you're in, the city or the county you're in. And I'm going to be tossing those up on our way out after this story. Let's hit that like button also. And here is Mayor Pete, press secretary.
Mayor Pete, why did it take you an entire 2.5 weeks to actually get here to respond to East Palestine? Will you apologize to the residents of this city for the slow response, to the government's slow response? Do you have any apology?
I'm a press person. I can help you.
Sure. So can we ask why it took him almost 3 weeks to get here?
I'm sorry, I don't want to do this on camera.
What was his personal time off while there was a tragedy happening here?
And can we also ask too why it, he waited until President Donald Trump came here to actually make an appearance? This is a very important question that people across America would like to know.
Why would the press secretary person not want to be on camera in this manner? I get, like, if somebody call you up, hey, can we get it on camera? No, we can't get it on camera. We can interview like this. But I'm saying, if you are there and the camera is there, why can't you just answer the questions? So reporters are videotaping a politician and their job, and Mayor Pete, they're supposed to turn to you, turn off their cameras and mics, and ask you questions. That's what's supposed to happen. I'm going to let it play all the way through. It's 2 minutes and 20 seconds. I'll let it play and then I'll comment.
Mayor Pete, why did it take you an entire 2.5 weeks to actually get here to respond to East Palestine? Will you apologize to the residents of this city for the slow response, to the government's slow response? Do you have any apology?
I'm a press person. I can help you.
Sure. So can we ask why it took him almost 3 weeks to get here?
I'm sorry, I don't want to do this on camera.
What was his personal time off while there was a tragedy happening here?
And can we also ask too why it, he waited until President Donald Trump came here to actually make an appearance? This is a very important question that people across America would like to know.
I'm happy to have a conversation with you. I do not want to be on camera.
Well,
please put your cameras away.
I'm sorry, we're on a public area, so we are allowed as press.
You guys, I would like you guys to turn your cameras off.
You're not on my camera.
Well, I'm on a camera. I would like your cameras to be off, and then I'm happy to talk to you guys.
Well, if you're the press secretary of the Secretary of the Department of Transportation, don't you think you should be able to ask questions from the American public that you serve?
Absolutely. I would like to do it without the camera on.
Can I ask why?
I think that is a little bit aggressive. That's why. And
why is it aggressive?
What the fuck?
I'm on behalf of the American people.
These liberals, man. These shit liberals, man. She said it's aggressive. This is some nonsense right here. I need to take a pause. I'm embarrassed for her. So I'm trying to take a pause and let that embarrassing feeling go away. Okay, it's subsiding. It's aggressive. And see, this is the thing that the Karens, white Karens, they want to go to the damsel in distress. Like they just think of this. This is a thing that a lot of white females know they can lean. I'm afraid. Oh, well, I guess we need to pack up because you're afraid. It's a little aggressive.
Well, if you're the press secretary of the Department of Transportation, don't you think you should be able to ask questions from the American public that you serve?
Absolutely. I would like to do it without the camera on.
Can I ask why?
I think that is a little bit aggressive. That's why. And
Why
I
is
know,
it aggressive?
Ah, that's nonsense.
I'm on behalf of the American people. I'm just asking why he has not been here until Donald Trump
She's
came.
asked them several times for them to turn the cameras off, and they will not do it.
She's been able to walk away. Would you like to go inside? I do not. I will walk this way.
Can I ask what the secretary is going to do with the picture of Jenny Taylor? He took her the other day when she was asking a question on watching NBC.
I'm happy to answer your question.
No, you're not happy to answer. Why you can't answer on camera? You want to gaslight? You want to lie? And you don't want to be on camera lying?
You all have your cameras on. I can see them. You guys, I'm happy to have this conversation.
All right, y'all. So we are with the press
Okay,
secretary
this
for Pete
is
Buttigieg,
not-
and
Fuck
right
up.
now we are being told
camera in
that
my
we are not
pocket.
supposed
Can I
to be
question?
filming. Again, we are
No,
here
right
on behalf
now.
of the American
Who
public
is this
because we would like to
conversation with you because
have the
somebody is
conversation and we would like
No,
to ask
you
the
would
questions
not.
as
You
to
guys are
why,
fucking weak-ass
again,
bitches.
it took almost 3 weeks for Pete Buttigieg to be here on the ground. He waited until Donald Trump came here to actually be here and
Absolutely.
speak to residents. The
I can't
people here have
believe
been
how
quite tight-knit
fucking
about when we
scary,
can ask questions. And again, we're here on behalf of the American
this girl
public, and
finish.
we wish we could be able to ask these questions, but for some reason, we're not allowed.
Yeah, it's nonsense. This is like real spineless bitch shit right here. I couldn't do this. I couldn't do these jobs that y'all do. I couldn't do these jobs. Because that's utter fucking nonsense. This is aggressive to have a camera on. You're the press secretary. I don't have any words. There's not really any words that they're even offering as a defense, and they're being drugged because of this video. This is nonsense that you can't answer the question on camera. What does that do that you're speaking on camera? Unless there's a reason you don't want to be on camera. Like what I'm about to tell you, the lies I'm about to tell you, I don't want to be seen telling the lies that I'm about to tell you. I don't want to be my face where you can see me mouthing the lies that you can put that video on loop over and over. Just real garbage people we have working all throughout, behind the scenes also. Just garbage people all throughout our government. So we're going to end with this video here. Like I said, put in the comments where you are from, and I'll toss those up as we are exiting. Thank you for watching. Oops. Click the wrong thing. Thank you for watching this Sunday, watching Straight Out of Politics. Don't know what my schedule is going to be like tomorrow. My wife's birthday is tomorrow. So I have to check in with her to see what what she wants to do as far as the time of the day we're going to be doing our planned event. So not sure if I'm going to be on tomorrow, but you will know. I'll let you know, I guess. Other thing, make sure you check out our website. Very important. Make sure you check out the memberships. Make sure you subscribe to our Substack, and make sure you like the video on the way out. And we're going to end with this video here.
I want to address something that I've been seeing on social media a lot about all these industrial accidents. I'm seeing people who I know personally who are intelligent people starting to ask the question, are all these industrial accidents part of some grand scheme? Are they part of a plan? Are we under attack? No, it's not a conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy in the way you are thinking it's a conspiracy. It's greed and laziness. That's the conspiracy. The grand plan is to make as much money without having to cover expenses. And things like safety is an expense. Things like covering and making sure you do the minimum regulation to not pay a fine. That's an expense. And if you can cut those expenses, then you can do a thing called a stock buyback if you're a major company, and that will raise your stock price. And all the members of the board of directors and the CEOs and all the shareholders love these because the price goes up of the stock and then they can sell it and then they get money. There is no grand conspiracy beyond greed. Are you hearing me? There's 15,000 industrial accidents that happen every year in America. You're just seeing it for the first time because the algorithm knows that you're engaging with them at the moment. Think about it. You've been on this app and you've seen somebody cleaning one of those incredibly dirty rugs with a power washer and scrubbing it. And they spend 3 minutes, and at the beginning of the video, they're always like, I'm going to give this rug to charity. Dude, it's a dirty rug from the trash. Throw it out and give the charity $50 fucking instead. How much water you waste on this fucking rug? But enough. You watch the video. You watch it to the end. The algorithm, ding, goes, all right, this guy likes dirty rug videos. Maybe you comment, this guy really likes dirty rug videos. Maybe you like it. This guy, next time you log in, it's nothing but fucking dirty rug videos, people reacting to dirty rug videos, people stitching dirty rug videos. Everywhere you turn, suddenly, oh my God, there's an epidemic of dirty rugs. No. There are dirty rugs in this world. You are just seeing more of them. It's the same thing with these industrial accidents and all of our fucking infrastructure. It's shit. We all know it's shit. We just happen to have cameras and algorithms that now feed it to us. The big difference is we've spent the last 50 years arguing about shit that doesn't matter. Shit like gay marriage, shit like trying to ban fucking books, religion in schools. All these fucking things have all been distractions paid for specifically by rich people to make sure that we don't fucking notice that they've been cutting our pay, cutting safety regulations, and giving us worse fucking products so they can have better shit. They don't want us to have good shit because they want the best shit. Because when they have the best shit, the richest fucking people, it makes their shit feel better because we can't get near it. That's the conspiracy.